are listening to the EPT Works Listen, Love, Give podcast. Hi, I'm Dr. Annette Cargioli, the Forgiveness Doctor. I'm here to help you create phenomenal health, happiness, and new life with energy, intuition, and forgiveness. EPT is short for Emotional Polarity Technique, an innovative, holistic emotional therapy that will change your life for good. You can subscribe to this podcast, get free EPT training at eptworks.com, and like us on Facebook. Chapter 5 from The Forgiveness Doctor. You can find The Forgiveness Doctor available on Amazon, or you can go to my website, eptworks.com, and there's a link right there to The Forgiveness Doctor. This is Chapter 5, titled EPT's Simple 4-Step Formula. Focus, find it, fix it, forgive it. As a holistic doctor, I get to help people with problems that have failed to respond to traditional medical care. I have learned that physical and emotional suffering that gets stuck in your life is usually coming from previous experiences where your heart was broken. It could be your parents divorced and you lost your family, or a parent or a friend died. A teacher or coach may have humiliated you with criticism in front of your peer group. You may have been a child who was always alone and left out. You may have been a witness to your father's abusing your mother or a sibling or you. Your heart could have been broken just by being left by your mom because she had to go to work when you were way too little. When you are little, your heart is sensitive and fragile. As you grow and develop, there are many experiences that can cause your heart to break. Your childhood experiences of emotional trauma are stored in the cellular memory of your body and subconscious mind. This is the meaning of emotional scarring. Your conscious and subconscious memories of emotional trauma become the energetic template by which you create your life experience. When you create experiences out of the energy of emotional pain, trauma, and loss, you are more likely to create physical illness, pain, failed relationships, financial failure, depression, and self-hatred. By releasing emotional scarring, you are free to choose a more positive and loving energetic template by which you can create a life better than you have ever imagined. A life with vibrant health, joyful relationships, prosperity, happiness, and love. Quickly identifying and releasing your emotional scarring is included in EPT's 4-step formula to radically change your life. Two-pointing and muscle testing along with simple deduction allows you to identify the exact memories the body has trapped that have left emotional scarring. In a matter of seconds, you can identify the emotional root of a current problem existing in your life. EPT really is as fast as Google it. You will be astonished about the information your body stores from the past, how quickly you can access it, and how it immediately relates to the current life experience you are ready to change. Isaac was troubled with anxiety and insomnia, yet he believed everything in his life was good. His marriage relationship was untroubled. He was a stay-at-home dad with his toddler daughter, Grace. His anxiety seemed to have started around the time his daughter turned 2. He had been dealing with this problem for about 6 months. I used muscle testing and deduction to uncover that the emotional root of his anxiety and insomnia was trapped in Isaac's body when he was 2 years old. I discovered he felt fear, depression, anger, and grief with his dad. He then told me that at age 2 was the first time he knew his mom was committed to a mental hospital. Isaac also shared that his dad was a raging, unpredictable alcoholic. When his daughter Grace turned 2, a file in Isaac's brain with a hidden memory opened up, and he started experiencing all the trapped emotions from when he was 2. Even though he had managed to create a much better family and life than the one he had as a child, it didn't heal the trapped emotions from his childhood family trauma. Having a family with an adorable 2-year-old child actually opened up the old family trauma memory that started to play, causing Isaac's current anxiety and insomnia. I fixed it, the trapped emotional trauma causing the anxiety and insomnia, with simple magnet and breath work. Lastly, I coached Isaac through forgiving his dad, his mom, and himself. Through forgiveness, he was able to release all the limiting beliefs created by the hurt of his childhood. Both the anxiety and the insomnia were immediately healed, and they did not return. Emotional polarity technique helps you determine the emotional roots of the problems that exist in your life right now so you can heal your broken heart. This opens the door to a greater awareness of who you are. That new awareness alerts you to what you need to let go of, which is taking up way too much space in your life. By letting go of the hurt, disappointment, and beliefs that no longer serve you, massive space is opened up more of what you really want to create and experience in your life right now. You get stuck with hurt feelings that you replay over and over long after a heartbreaking event has occurred. It's as if you keep running into that invisible emotional scarring and responding as though it is still happening to you. Your automatic response of resistance, anger, or hurt to these bad feelings is a natural built-in mechanism to protect you from getting hurt like this ever again. It effectively stops you from breaking through for your own protection. You are stuck. This is the same mechanism that causes you to jump when you touch a cold stove because somewhere in a past memory you were burned touching a hot stove. Without even thinking it through, this automatic mechanism will drive your behavior so that you instantly pull away from the danger of the stove, responding to a past memory. What you may not realize is that your unconscious memories are constantly influencing your behavior and how you feel. So, what you're feeling in any moment may only be coming from your brain file of an old memory. You may think you are super frustrated with your boss for ordering you around like a child, when you are really feeling frustration from age 7 when your angry, stressed mom ordered you around. You may think you are crazy for feeling depressed years after a divorce when you are really feeling the loss of your family at age 6 when your brother died of leukemia and the family was changed forever. Using emotional polarity technique 4-step formula that by now is very familiar, you can quickly address this type of an issue. Number 1, focus. Place your attention on the problem you want to change. Rate the problem from 1 to 10, either on the SUD scale, as we learned in Chapter 4, or the level of healing scale that I'll teach you in Chapter 8. Another healing scale, SUE, Subjective Units of Elation, is used in addiction work, also in Chapter 8. Number 2, find it. Identify the exact original memory that keeps playing over and over in your life, including your age, the emotions you trapped in that memory, who or what else was involved, and the story you told yourself that limits your life now or causes you suffering. Number 3, fix it. You can interrupt the song that keeps repeatedly playing in your life by utilizing the loving support of another person who uses brief magnetic energy placement and simple breath work. Number 4, forgive it. Every time you open up an old memory or story you told yourself, you have the chance to heal your soul with forgiveness, letting go of what you believed which is no longer true or useful to you. After forgiveness, your problem can be rated again on the SUD or healing level scales. In EPT, forgiveness is the most important part of any healing endeavor. Every time you willingly forgive, you make miracles possible. and the world becomes a much better place. As I've mentioned before, while self-help EPT is a very valuable step in your healing journey, there is a distinctly different value to doing EPT with a trained practitioner. Working with an EPT practitioner links you with a positive, loving human connection. Humans need emotional attachment to survive. Hundreds of studies now show that positive, loving connection with others protect us from stress and help us cope better with life's challenges and traumas. In all self-help healing strategies, you eliminate the healing component that exists when another human connects with you and supports you in a loving, intentional way. EPT self-help is useful to help stop the bleeding and feel relief, but it will never equal or replace the EPT you do with a trained facilitator. In this chapter, I'm going to explain in detail the EPT 4-step formula as it is done by a trained EPT practitioner. After I break it down for you, I will give you a few practical examples of how EPT can be used to make your life and the world better. Step 1. Focus. The first thing your EPT practitioner will help you to determine is what the problem is you want to change. Some of the most common issues people use EPT for are problems with physical pain or a specific person or a difficult life situation. Using the subjective units of distress scale, the practitioner will ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being terrible and 1 being hardly noticeable, how you rate this problem you are experiencing. Rating the problem on a measurable scale is helpful to demonstrate to what degree EPT has been effective. Let's say you rate your anxiety with engaging with your mom at a SUD 7. After EPT, you rate the same problem at a SUD 2 or SUD 5. Either way, there is an immediate, tangible measure of change taking place, as well as a guide for moving forward for the next change. Accessing the program. There are 2 techniques to determine the existence of hidden memories and then signal the brain to open the file. In each of these techniques, 2-pointing is used in a slightly different way. You must have the person focus on their problem in order for you to determine if there is a hidden memory file that relates to this problem. While the person touches or thinks about their problem, you must cue the brain into the file you are looking for. This is done by something I call accessing the program, referring to the EPT procedure that signals the brain to reveal the hidden memories related to this current problem. There are 2 main ways to access the program, and it only takes a few seconds. Accessing the program is a quick 2-point muscle test that speaks to the body and brain, in essence asking, is there a trapped emotional file, and if so, please open it up now. The body responds with a yes when the practitioner's hand over point 2 counters the muscle weakness of point 1 by becoming a strong muscle test. Accessing the program is done by combining the tools of muscle testing and 2-pointing. Now, for knowledge seekers, 2-pointing involves accessing the program. Point 1, think about the issue, event, pain, person, or touch the body. The muscle test equals a weak muscle. Point 2, while you think about or touch the problem, the practitioner places a hand on point 2, your forehead, and that test equals a strong muscle. Now you are ready to find the hidden memory in the form of a statement. Before you find it, to find trapped emotions and body memory, you will need 5 things. You will need trust in God. Prayer is helpful in opening to a space of compassion and unconditional love. Muscle testing, deductive reasoning, the pegboard or the polarity emotion guide chart, and the flow chart or decision tree chart. Let's start with trust in God. If you do not have a personal relationship with God and have considered establishing one, then learning EPT offers an opportunity to see extraordinary results which can help expand your faith. Deciding to embark on the EPT journey either as a client or a practitioner may well be the step you take which helps you suspend your disbelief and witness tangible results. Whether you do or you don't choose to believe, you will still see forgiveness at work nonetheless. My personal belief that all healing comes from God is also in alignment with the following biblical quote. Praise the Lord, my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgives all your sins and heals all your diseases, who redeems your life from the pit and crowns you with love and compassion, who satisfies your desires with good things so that your youth is renewed like the eagles. With the premise that God is the source of all healing, I believe it is a good practice to draw from that source every day. The individual practitioner will determine what this will look like in his or her own life. The space of unconditional love. In one of my classes recently, Jacqueline came up to the front with an excruciating leg pain, so I could demonstrate how to treat her with the SUD scale. The story that emerged was of a turbulent childhood marked by tragedy, abuse, grief, and pain. In my class of highly empathetic people, the type who are usually drawn to the healing professions, there was barely a dry eye after Jacqueline made her way back to her seat. Claire, another student, raised her hand. Dr. Annette, she began. I'm a strong swimmer, but the wave of sadness was like a riptide. It knocked me over and dragged me under. How do you maintain the necessary calm of unconditional love in the presence of so much heartbreak? I don't depend on my own strength, I told my students. My personal conviction is that God does this healing. I am just a vessel that it passes through, and I'm fine with being used that way. In order to maintain the space of unconditional love, I have to get out of the way. I align with the Holy Spirit, picture divine light flowing through the top of my head, filling me to overflowing, and then pouring out of my heart in green healing light. The flow of energy is from God through me and out from my heart. There is no way I could take on someone's pain or negative energy. The flow of divine love is giving, not receiving. I noticed several of my students drew the following diagram and kept it in front of them as a reminder as the class continued. How a practitioner protects against negative energy. The plumber's flow valve. For those students worried that they might absorb bad vibes or negative energy from a client, I simply draw this analogy. A plumber's flow valve only permits a flow in one direction. When flow is attempted in the other direction, a flap closes and prevents that backflow. I suggest to them that they envision their wrist as flow valves that not only permit the healing energy to flow in one direction down from above through their hearts and out their arms as they touch a client. The flow valve in the wrist protects and prevents any backflow of negative energy. There is never a reason for the EPT practitioner to be an empath who takes on the pain or injury of the client. The changes take place without any need for someone else to suffer. How great is that? EPT is a spiritual endeavor which attempts to incorporate the concept of reaching a balance between mind, body, and spirit. EPT practitioners realize that there is a plethora of belief systems, all different and all with varying degrees of applicability or compatibility to EPT, and a need to be either synthesized into or accommodated in some fashion as we engage in the healing process. The goals are relief and healing, and in most situations, a reconnection to an individual sense of what I like to call the divine connection. EPT is designed in a Christian atmosphere, but never reserved for only Christians. My desire is to have it heal everyone it touches worldwide. So in that regard, although I may make some Christian references, please understand my underlying desire to heal the world with this incredible technology. A note about spiritual practice. EPT practitioners are encouraged to develop a spiritual practice that extends beyond the realm of just going to church. Practitioners are encouraged to seriously make time and space in their lives to commune with God every day. This space can be devoted to prayer, meditation, praise, gratitude, or silence. When you make space to be with God, God shows up for you. You can't do it all alone, and you don't have to. God loves you and wants you to heal and align with divine truth. Pray to God daily. Ask for guidance and assistance. Prayer is powerful. Don't ever underestimate its power. Step 2 of EPT's simple 4-step formula. Find it. Once you have rated the problem and accessed the program, you are ready to find it, to find the exact body memory that holds the trapped emotions. This hidden memory is described with a statement or what is often referred to as a word picture. The goal of step 2, find it, is forming the statement that best describes a hidden memory that needs forgiveness. How you forgive is determined by the statement that is formed, and forming this statement takes place after you have done step 1, focus. This statement is the key to the emotional release at all levels, physical, mental, and spiritual. Now, with your self-centered, a trust in God's purpose, proficiency in muscle testing, an understanding of deductive reasoning, your pegboard, and your flow chart, you are ready to proceed to find it. To form the statement, you must muscle test through a series of deductive questions. Some practitioners speak these questions out loud and others speak the questions in their minds. Ask the body, is it a who test or what test? Since a healthy body is normally strong, a response from the body will be a weak muscle. Push on the arm asking the body a who test or a what test. The weak muscle indicates a response from the body. It's telling you, yes, that's the one. This is usually a who. Use the flow chart, also known as the decision tree chart, to help you deduce who it is. Is it a friend? Test. Or a family member? Test. Push on the arm, asking the body each question. The body will respond with a weak muscle. Yes, that's the one. Is it an original family member? Test. A current family member? Test. Is it mom? Test. Or dad? Test. For this example, let's say that the who is mom. Now that you have a specific focus, mom, you can find the trapped emotions in this memory. Have the client think about mom. Just the suggestion is enough to bring the mom file up in this person's brain computer screen. As that picture is emerging on the brain's computer screen, the muscle will test weak. The muscle tests weak because you are accessing a hidden memory that has trapped emotional energy in it that is disturbing to the body's energy. Even before you have all the details, your client's database is already bringing up the file of this disturbing picture. Some hidden memories may not appear to be all that disruptive or disturbing at a conscious level. It is through muscle testing to find it that we discover the disturbing thought which exists at the subconscious level. The muscle weakness indicates a reaction by the body to a thought that disturbs the body's energy balance. It will be very obvious to you that there is a disturbance with some hidden memories. Other memories will only be recognized and measured as disruptive by evidence of a weak muscle. For example, you may be calmly sitting in front of the practitioner. As soon as the practitioner says, "You felt fear at age 6 with your dad," you start to actually feel the fear. It is obvious that there is a physiological disturbance with that memory. Or the practitioner may discover that you felt anger, or you felt your mom's anger with your dad when you were 1. The only way the practitioner knows this is disruptive to your body's energy system is because with this thought or idea, your muscle goes weak. You don't actually have a conscious memory of being upset with your dad when you were 1. More often, the only way we can know that this is a memory that is disruptive to the body's energy is with a weak muscle response. These are the forgotten places that we experience an unresolved hurt that then formed the basis of a core limiting belief. The obvious physical disturbances would be traumatic memories of things like a death of a parent, incest, extreme physical trauma, parents fighting, rape, etc. By obvious, I mean that the minute the thought is posed, the body responds uncomfortably to the thought. As you think about mom, the practitioner is muscle testing with one hand and using the other hand to touch one organ at a time as he tests. Remember the muscle test week with this file open because it causes a disturbance in the body. So here's what this looks like. The practitioner determines who it is, and it is mom. You are asked to think about your mom. The muscle continues to test weak as the practitioner uses his other hand to touch one organ at a time, starting with gallbladder and liver, etc. The practitioner is searching for the organ that makes the currently weak muscle strong. Since the arm is already weak when you are thinking of this memory file with mom, the only way the body can answer or signal is to counter the current weakness with a strong muscle response. Once you identify the organ that makes the muscle strong while the client is thinking about mom, you are ready to use the pegboard chart. Let's say that the muscle got strong when you touched the client's liver. This narrows down what emotions may be trapped in this memory. It will be one of the emotions in the same column as liver. The emotions at the top of each column are the most common. Ask the body while muscle testing. Is it anger? Test. Is it resentment? Test. The muscle will test weak to respond to the question with a yes, that is it. Let's say the muscle goes weak when you ask the body, is it anger? Now deduce further by asking, is it your anger? Test. Or is it your mom's anger? Test. The body will respond with a weak muscle to say, yes, that is it. You are an essential part of forming the statement. Forming this statement is as easy as filling in the blanks. I felt blank at age blank because of blank. So far, we have I felt mom's anger at age blank because blank. We can determine the age when you trapped this memory. This is done with a combination of muscle testing and deductive questions. Ask the body, was there an earlier time when you felt this, mom's anger? Test. If the body responds with a weak muscle, it means, yes, there is an earlier time. Continue to muscle test as you deduce, asking the body, was it conception to birth? Test. Birth to 5 test. 5 to 10 test. And so on. The body will respond with a weak muscle to let you know, yes, that's it. Let's say there was a weak muscle response when you asked 5 to 10. You then further deduce by asking, is it age 5 test, age 6 test, age 7 test, age 8 test, age 9 test, age 10 test. Let's say the muscle was weak when you asked if it was age 7. Now your statement looks like this. I felt mom's anger at age 7 because blank. While finding it may seem mysterious and challenging, getting to this point takes a good practitioner less than 3 minutes. Like a computer database, the brain has stored all of this information. Trapped emotional energy, hidden memories, and limiting beliefs all work as part of each person's operating system. EPT functions to quickly identify and release those emotions, memories, and beliefs that are operating against you and causing you to create the same problems over and over. Figuring out the because or why you felt this feeling at age 7 is done with muscle testing, the reasons the client and the EPT practitioner come up with. The practitioner will ask you, why did you feel your mom's anger when you were 7? Or what happened at age 7 that made your mom angry? You may answer with several reasons. Well, my mom didn't love me. I was never good enough for her. I couldn't do anything right. She was always angry. Dad walked out on her and they got divorced. We were in a bad accident then, too. The EPT practitioner will muscle test each answer to determine how you filed the memory and the meaning you assigned to it. The practitioner will say, you felt your mom's anger at age 7. Is it because she didn't love you? Test. Is it because you couldn't do anything right? Test. Is it because she was always angry? Test. Is it because your dad walked out on her? Test. Is it because they got divorced? Test. Is it because of the car accident? Test. The practitioner will muscle test each reason. The ones that cause a weak muscle response are the why the brain assigned to this memory. The hidden memory is now revealed in the form of a statement. I felt mom's anger at age 7 because I couldn't do anything right. I'm not good enough. Once you find it, the statement that describes the hidden memory and trapped emotion, then you are ready for step 3, fix it. Step 3, fixing it, is really very simple and routine. It can be done in about 60 seconds. Fixing it refers to balancing the brain, body, and energy field while you are thinking of a disturbing thought picture or hidden memory. Fixing it releases the body's emotional reactivity to specific memories and thoughts. As you think about the memory picture or statement, your muscle will test weak. This is because the hidden memory picture has a weakening effect on the body. Even though you think you're over it and you know you're good enough, the thought of age 7 and mom raging at you for not cleaning the bathroom right will still cause a nervous reaction, a cellular shakiness, and an imbalance in your body. This weakness indicates that this old memory that you think is long forgotten is still having an influence on your beliefs and behavior. Here's where the practitioner will pick up the magnet pads. The magnet pads are colored green on the North Pole energy and red on the South Pole energy. The emotional polarity technique, body and energy field correction, always uses one magnet over an organ and one magnet over the forehead. The practitioner will use muscle testing to determine which organ is covered and what magnet polarity is used for each individual correction. There is a specific magnet correction done for each trapped emotion in the hidden memory. The specific magnet correction will always have one magnet over an organ and one magnet over the forehead. With the magnets in place, gently squeeze the sides of the client's head together 3 times. The client is instructed to think about the picture and to inhale on each gentle squeeze and to exhale as each squeeze releases. The practitioner will ask you to think about that picture at age 7 when your mom was really mad at you and you couldn't do anything right. Test. As you continue to hold that thought in your mind, the practitioner will test each organ with North and South Pole energy to locate the one that strengthens the weak muscle. It is usually the organ associated with the emotion. If anger is the emotion, then the liver is most likely where the magnet will be placed in the body correction. As the practitioner places green North Pole energy over the liver while you are thinking about this memory, the muscle gets strong. Only one side of the magnet will correct the body energy field weakness. On rare occasions, both sides of the magnet will strengthen the weakness reflected in the muscle test. The practitioner then removes the green magnet from the body. As you continue to think about the memory picture, the muscle continues to test weak with this thought. Now the practitioner tests north and south pole energy over your forehead. The magnet energy that strengthens the muscle test is the strengthening magnet for the body correction. Red south pole in this example. The practitioner places the green north pole magnet over the liver and asks you to hold it there. The practitioner places the red south pole magnet over your forehead, the emotional points. Now, there is a large magnet pad over the liver and a large magnet pad over your forehead. The brain, connected to the liver through the nervous system, communicates via the circuits located within the spinal column. By placing a high-strength magnet over the liver and another one over the brain, the practitioner influences the energetic pattern and frequency of the circuitry between the two. Of course, this is all theoretical. I've combined research about the influence of magnets on living tissue with the science of anatomy, physiology, and Chinese medicine. This combination creates an interference in the body's negative reaction to the hidden memory. Interfering in this programmed automatic response opens you up to greater conscious awareness and the freedom to respond in more positive ways that actually help your life become more enjoyable. To finish the correction of the body's nervous, unstable cellular reaction, now that the strengthening magnets are placed on one on the organ and one on the forehead, you are instructed to think about the memory picture as the practitioner places hands on both sides of your head, gently squeezing the sides of your head inward as you inhale and releasing on exhalation. This is done 3 times, allowing for right and left brain hemispheres to come into physical and energetic balance. There could be more than one emotion in this memory. Before you are finished, the practitioner will ask your body, are there any more emotions in this picture? Test. A weak muscle means, yes, there are more emotions in this picture. The practitioner will prompt you to think about this picture again. Test. The muscle will continue to test weak as the practitioner 2 points to one organ at a time. The muscle is still weak because there are more trapped emotions in that memory that need to be fixed. Since the muscle is weak while you think about the hidden memory, the only way your body can signal yes is to respond with a strong muscle when the practitioner touches the organ system with the next trapped emotion. Point 1 is the thought of the hidden memory just found and fixed, and the test is still weak. Point 2 is the practitioner's hand on the spleen, and the test is strong. Next, the practitioner removes the hand from your spleen and asks your body, is it low self-esteem? Test. Is it disgust? Test, and so on. The muscle will test weak to respond. Yes, that is the next trapped emotion. The practitioner then asks, is it your low self-esteem? Test, or is it your mom's low self-esteem? Test. The practitioner will use muscle testing and deduction to uncover more of the hidden memory and trapped emotions in that picture, so that you now have another statement with a different trapped emotion in that same memory. In this memory, we find mom's anger and your low self-esteem. I felt mom's anger at age 7 because I couldn't do anything right. I also felt my low self-esteem at age 7 because I couldn't do anything right. The practitioner will fix each trapped emotion as it is found. Here is an example. I felt mom's anger at age 7 because I couldn't do anything right. Mom's anger is fixed with a green North Pole magnet over the liver and a red South Pole magnet over the forehead. The practitioner gently squeezes the sides of your head 3 times. You inhale on each squeeze and exhale on each release. The practitioner asks your body, are there any more emotions trapped in this picture? Test. A weak muscle test indicates your body is responding, yes, there are more. The practitioner uses muscle testing, deduction, and the pegboard chart to determine further trapped emotions in the form of a statement. I also felt low self-esteem at age 7 because I couldn't do anything right. Low self-esteem is fixed by placing a red South Pole magnet over the spleen and a red South Pole magnet over the forehead. The practitioner gently squeezes the sides of your head 3 times. You inhale on each squeeze and exhale on each release. The practitioner asks your body, are there any more emotions on this picture? Test. A strong muscle test indicates no, there are no more emotions stored on this picture. A weak muscle test indicates yes, there are more. The practitioner continues to find and fix each trapped emotion until muscle testing indicates there are no more emotions on this picture. The why or because that you discover may be true, or it may just be the meaning you gave to your mom's anger. It is usually just the meaning you assigned to it at the time. The muscle test is only revealing your meaningful perception of an experience. You may or may not be accurate about why your mom was angry when you were 7. It's really just about how you perceived it at the time and the meaning your brain gave to the memory. Your perception may start with you feeling your mom's anger and then deciding it means you aren't good enough. You could also feel you aren't good enough and become hyper aware of the emotions around you. These emotions then validate your story or belief that you are not good enough. What you need to know is that this statement that we find represents a hidden memory. That hidden memory is based on your perception at the time. It is not necessarily the truth. It is your perception and the meaning you assigned to that experience. Although using muscle response testing makes it very easy for a practitioner to quickly determine the who or what and the original time of the memory represented in the statement, sometimes new practitioners feel it is difficult to figure out the why in the statement. Your client may have no idea why mom was angry when they were 2 years old. This can get especially challenging when the hidden memory shows up as an early childhood memory with an in utero memory. Here are some tips to help you discover the why. Tip 1. The first way to determine the why or because in the statement is to simply ask the client to fill in the blank. Ask the client, why did you feel angry with your dad when you were 2 years old? Sometimes the client can tell you why or at least make a few good guesses. Tip 2. If the client has no idea, then ask other questions like these. Where did you live when you were 2? Were your parents together then? Did you have siblings? What were their ages? If your parents were together, how did they get along? If you had to answer why you were generally angry with your dad during your lifetime, what would the reason be? Did your family move when you were 2? Did a family member die or have a health trauma? Did you have a health trauma? Example, a broken bone, a head trauma, a hospital stay. Was there a new baby in the family? Did a sibling leave and go to school? You are probing the open door to this old memory to help the client recall their life at the time of this trapped emotion. As the client begins to describe life at age 2, most of the time new ideas for the why emerge and can be tested. It could be a buried reason such as, my sister was born when I was 2 and my dad has always given her more attention than me. I've always felt left out of my dad's love and it's not fair. Muscle testing is used to verify which reason fits in the statement. The completed statement could look like this. I felt angry with my dad at age 2 because dad loves my sister more than me and it's not fair. Tip 3. If the time frame found in the statement is before birth in utero, it usually involves mom or dad's emotions felt by the client. Asking the client questions about the family life situation at the time is the easiest way to come up with the why. In a previous example in my book, I told you about Abigail, whose fear of flying originated from a hidden memory from 6 months in utero. When I found it was a pre-birth memory, I was kind of concerned that I wouldn't be able to find the why. Coincidentally, she happened to know of an actual incident that happened at 6 months in utero. Her mother had recently told her of a trauma that occurred while she was 6 months pregnant. That trauma tested as the hidden memory. Our complexity as human beings is astounding. Our bodies are capable of holding memories, and then, when coaxed and permitted, will give up the secrets that hide from our conscious minds. And then it is the simplicity with which distress is alleviated that becomes astounding. It is quite often the case that even though the time frame of the memory is before birth or early childhood, the client just happens to know a story that happened in that time frame, and that is usually what we are looking for. We do not construct false memories. Most memories can be verified by a family member who were involved in the actual incident. There are rare times when all you can get for the statement are the trapped emotions, who is involved, and a less specific why. The most common reasons that answer the question why involve being loved, being wanted, or being good enough. Here are a few examples of this. I felt mom's anger when I was 2 months in utero because she didn't love me, because dad didn't love her, because dad didn't love me, because she didn't want me, because I'm an unwanted child, because I'm not good enough, because she's not good enough, because dad's not good enough. Tip 4. An important concept to understand with regard to utero events is the vanishing twin syndrome. Some people will test positive for having a twin that they lost in utero. In medicine and psychology, this is known as vanishing twin syndrome. Whether or not they actually had a twin is irrelevant. The important aspect is that their body and mind believes they had one. The EPT practitioner will ask the body if there was a twin when the time frame is discovered to be in utero. Since virtually no one consciously remembers a lost twin they never met, you must construct the why part of this statement. Here is an example of how to construct a statement with a vanishing twin. I feel my twin brother's abandonment and sadness at 3 months in utero because he died, because I lived, because he wasn't good enough to stay, because I got all the nourishment and he had to go, because he was too weak to stay, because he couldn't be with me anymore, because I didn't love him. There is no way to verify the existence of a phantom twin. It is important for the practitioner to construct statements that the client identifies with. If the client cannot emotionally identify with the forgiveness statements, there is no need to spend a lot of time in this memory. It is, however, quite common for a client to feel tremendous release as they are surprised at how closely they identify with the forgiveness statements with a twin story they never knew they had. Tip 5. Typical life events that are prone to repress emotions are a family moving, health crisis, accident trauma or head injury, starting school or changing schools, a divorce, abusive relationships, sexual abuse, drug and alcohol addiction, loss of a family member or friend, medical trauma, cancer, autistic family member, handicapped family member, fear of death experience, almost had a plane, car, or bike wreck or other accident, loss of connection with important family member, loss of home or money. You come to an EPT practitioner with a problem. Your problem may be a chronic physical pain such as headaches or a specific emotional issue such as a divorce or an issue with a specific person like your boss. Your EPT practitioner can go through step 1, focus, and step 2, find it, in about 30 seconds. She can listen to what your problem is and within about 30 seconds determine the emotional root memory of your problem. Once she finds it, fixing it will then release the trapped emotional energy and open space so that you can change your beliefs and assign new positive meaning to your life through the power of forgiveness. Step 4, forgive it. Let go of what you decided to believe that is not true. People heal in layers. In most instances, anger, low self-esteem, and abandonment serve as armor for fear. As a person works through and lets go of deeply rooted emotional patterns, fear may begin to emerge as a primary emotion. It is similar to the fear of a woman who is about to give birth to new life. Letting go of emotional patterns, big or small, opens one up to the pathways of new life. In the forgiveness part of the EPT 4-step formula, the practitioner walks you through specific forgiveness statements based on the hidden memory. As you repeat the forgiveness statements spoken by the practitioner, he will rub the fear release points on the upper chest just under the collarbone on both sides and hold his other hand on the kidney area on your back. Here are some examples of forgiveness statements when I feel my mom's anger at age 7 because I couldn't do anything right. I forgive myself for believing I had to take on my mom's anger at age 7 because I couldn't do anything right. Breathe. I forgive my mom for being angry. Breathe. I give my mom permission to forgive me for blaming her for my belief that I couldn't do anything right. Breathe. Here's an example of forgiveness statements when I feel low self-esteem at age 7 because I couldn't do anything right. I forgive myself for believing I have to feel low self-esteem at age 7 because I believed I couldn't do anything right. Breathe. I forgive my mom for everything she said or did that made me believe I really couldn't do anything right. Breathe. I give myself permission to let go of my low self-esteem and accept myself and all I do right. Breathe. There are primarily 3 forms of statements that are used in emotional polarity technique that can heal everything. They are, I forgive myself for believing. I forgive others, whomever that person is in your life you need to forgive. And I give others permission to forgive me when I hurt them the same way I was hurt. Combining these statements together creates holistic past, present, and future healing. The present, I forgive myself. This might be a kind of strange to start with, but forgiving yourself should be the easiest thing you can do. You're the only person involved here. However I say should because, well, it's not always so easy. Forgiving yourself is often the last part of healing anyone ever thinks of, especially if this forgiveness also involves someone else. One of the ways EPT frames this forgiveness statement is usually with a qualifier. For example, I forgive myself for believing. For example, when something bad happens to you or you make a mistake, it may cause you to believe something negative about yourself that reinforces repetition of the issue. If you believe, I am a victim, you may continue to be victimized. If you believe, I am unlovable, you will not feel love. If you believe, I have no control, you may constantly be looking for places in your life where you can control. Until you forgive yourself for believing these negative things about yourself, how can you heal from them? How can you get over them? Even if someone else supported in the past or still supports the cause of these negative belief patterns, you still have the power to forgive and let go of how you treat yourself, regardless of how someone else treats you. Forgiveness of self empowers and helps survivors to completely heal. There is often opposition to forgiveness in abusive situations because of an underlying belief that if I forgive, I will continue to be hurt and victimized. Forgiving oneself protects against this because as soon as you let go of and forgive the belief that I deserve a certain situation or that it's my fault or that I can't change, you are able to walk away and potentially break the cycle. And all this can happen before even considering the next statement. Forgiving yourself is where you will release the negative limiting beliefs that have kept you in negative patterns of pain, illness, unhappiness, and poverty. The past. I forgive others. I forgive you. This statement is what most people think of when they think of forgiveness. Forgiveness, as seen in the previous paragraph, is much more multifaceted than just, I forgive you. Yes, annoying as forgiving another person can be, it is also necessary to do in order to heal everything. No man is an island. No one lives in a vacuum. There is always someone else to blame for our problems, issues, pain, and messy life. Even if I, all by myself, make a mistake, there is so much work I may not even be aware of that may have caused me to make that mistake. Take, for example, whatever is generationally or genetically at work in a family when there is a teenage pregnancy. Usually the situation is not an isolated event. More often than not, either the mother, an aunt, a grandmother, or a sister also had a teenage pregnancy. There is always someone else, and the same goes for lots of familial patterns. One would think we would learn from our history, but alas, in today's world it is increasingly possible that we don't even know our family history. In Chapter 9, I will show you constellations, the way EPT works to find and heal generational patterns of negative emotional blocked energy. In this example, the girl who got pregnant unexpectedly as a teenager may have believed, based on her familial generational examples and patterns, that getting pregnant as a teenager is just what girls do. Then she may need to forgive others, her mom, grandma, aunt, or sister, for teaching her to get pregnant as a teenager. She may need to forgive whoever else was involved at the time of the pregnancy, maybe even generationally, the men who would have been involved. As we will see in the constellation work in Chapter 9, her belief does not have to be a conscious one. Many families have generational patterns that repeat, even when the new generation has no knowledge of the past pattern. The list of people and feelings that need to be forgiven can go on and on. EPT helps pinpoint the exact time period and people involved that established a negative belief pattern, and then helps forgive these specific issues related to the pattern in order to move on and heal completely. Besides a pattern of teenage pregnancy, a family may have other generation patterns such as cancer, suicide, abuse, divorce, and addiction. Future. I give others permission to forgive me. This is probably the strangest and least intuitive statement, but it really rounds out the process. This statement is tough because it is essentially saying, I give others permission to forgive me when I do the exact same thing to them. I hate to admit this to myself, but I do the exact same thing to others that I hate. Carl Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. If you believe you are alone or unlovable, then maybe you will push people away or be a regular downer, making no one want to be around you. You will do things to others that could make them feel unloved or alone. In your negative, selfish pattern, you end up doing to others what someone else did to you. And then You blame them. Forgiving yourself is present-oriented. Forgiving other is past-oriented. And giving others permission to forgive you is future-oriented. You are anticipating that you will make a mistake and allowing the other person to forgive you for all the times you do make that mistake from the time of the originating event until the end of time. These are the three primary statements used in EPT to heal everything with forgiveness, crossing time and space, life and death, and all that jazz. Practicing well-rounded forgiveness is exactly what EPT is all about. It's not just to heal the past and present, but to launch you into a happier future. What you believe creates your reality. When you feel stuck in your current life reality, it is because you are holding on to limiting beliefs. The truth is, even at age 7, there were things you could do that were right. Maybe your mom was angry and harsh. Maybe you felt low self-esteem because your mom was angry. Emotions are just energy in motion. You may not be able to stop them. However, you hold the power to assign meaning to your experiences, no matter what the emotions are. Forgiveness transforms the negative, limiting beliefs that are holding you hostage in a life where you feel stuck. Letting go of limiting beliefs like, I'm not good enough, I'm ugly, I'm not safe, I'm unlovable, I'm poor, will allow you to realign your soul with the truth. You can then choose to believe, I am good enough, I am beautiful, I am safe, I am lovable, I am prosperous. Forgiveness is more than just letting someone off the hook. Forgiveness is also a way of realigning your soul with the truth. Forgiveness is a matter of letting go of what you decided to believe that isn't true. Letting go of the lies and stories you have told yourself that prevent you from creating the life you want and may be holding your life hostage. A limiting belief is a thought or idea you chose to accept as reality at some point in your life. If you grew up in a poor family, you may have decided to believe there is not enough. Even though you managed to create far more abundance than your birth family created, you still believe there is not enough. With that limiting belief, you find yourself struggling with money. Your limiting belief is based on your perception of an event or relationship in the past. It is limiting because it prevents you from going beyond your self-imposed reality. You may have decided that your belief is true for you, even though you may observe others all around you for whom your limiting belief does not apply. I had a client who held a belief that men always beat up women. Her father beat up her and her mother. Her first husband beat her up. She came to me for help with her 14-year-old son. Although his violent dad was long gone, this son was now beating up his mom. She was entrenched in her belief being absolute truth. She could hardly believe me when I told her I had never been beaten up by a man. A limiting belief only applies to those who choose to believe it or have faith in it. What you believe creates your perception of reality. By transforming your limiting beliefs into limitless beliefs, you transcend your current reality and broaden your ability to give and receive love. An important piece of forgiveness is release. Attempting to fight an obstruction directly can lead to more resistance and no headway. Instead of confronting and combating the difficulty, simply letting go and ceasing the struggle can often create the space which allows a pathway to be created. In EPT, I say yes statements are designed for this purpose. If, as Buddha said, the source of suffering is desire, craving, or ignorance, then perhaps the key to release is identifying the attachment or to expectations, delusions, and denials of reality. In other words, you have to acknowledge that you don't know what you don't know. That's almost impossible without help. As in the case of Beatrice, if you know that men beat you, you have no idea that there is a possibility of a world where men are gentle to women. So how do we release the beliefs we don't acknowledge we hold? Within the forgiveness statements, the EPT practitioner will formulate statements which identify the limiting beliefs causing the suffering. Let's take a case of poverty. I forgive myself for believing that I can't create money because I'm worthless. Now the EPT practitioner may observe that being poor is something that you are very attached to, since you keep creating it as you focus intently on it. By a simple statement, I say yes to being poor, you break up the resistance inherent in the belief that you are poor, that it is bad to be poor, that you hate being poor, but you will always be that way. Saying no to being poor keeps you in active resistance. It keeps you suffering. The belief or experience of having to be poor that you have been focusing on, resisting, and denying has actually been an investment that you can continuously feed with energy. Your worry, your frustration, your rage, your grief. I say yes to poverty frees up huge amounts of energy that have kept you in that negative energy field. Once you say yes and release those old beliefs, you are free to change. Instead of creating poverty from a belief system based on lack, you can start each day asking, what can I give today? And create your life from a perception of abundance and generosity. Love is the greatest healing energy in the universe. Love is the product of forgiveness. Every moment you are given the power to choose life or death. I believe every choice you make that is in love brings you more life, and every choice you make that is not in love brings you more death. When you choose forgiveness, you are choosing love, and that choice means a better life for you right now. People who walk through the 4-step formula of emotional polarity technique are inspired with the power of forgiveness. They experience an immediate physical, emotional, and spiritual release that is tangible in their body and mind. This power of forgiveness combined with the unconditional love of another person is truly a gift from God. In the next chapter, I will talk more about forgiveness and why it is the cornerstone of all that we do with emotional polarity technique. As always, you can subscribe to this podcast, like us on Facebook, and go get your free training at eptworks.com. I'm Dr. Annette Cargioli, the Forgiveness Doctor. Until next time, listen, love, give. EPT works.